Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bachelor Nation News fans. Here is a fact-based summary of the story contents. Here is a simplified version of the story contents. Here is a lighthearted take on the story contents. Grant Ellis and Juliana Pasquarosa broke the hearts of the Bachelor Season 29 fans when they announced their split just 3 months after going public with their engagement. But there were signs along the way that the fairy tale romance was never meant to last. Grant returned to the spotlight in the lead role after an unsuccessful run on The Bachelorette Season 21. Despite his desire for a wife and family, being the Bachelor proved harder than Grant had ever imagined, and the pressure of the situation got to his head. But amid Grant's struggles, he kept coming back to Juliana. Grant and Juliana fell hard for each other over the course of the season, and Juliana became a front-runner after she and Grant shared a romantic evening at a Scottish castle. Although he struggled to make up his mind between Juliana and finalist Alicia Gare, Grant ended the season by proposing to Juliana. Sadly, their plans for the future came to a crashing halt when Grant and Juliana each announced the end of their engagement on their respective Instagram stories on June 13, explaining they'd realized their paths were leading in different directions. The Bachelor Season 29 was plagued by Grant's difficulty forming deep connections. His dates felt routine and superficial, giving viewers no indication of where his heart was leading. Constant drama between the women took precedence over Grant's romantic desires, and there was no clear front-runner until late in the season. By that point, Grant was in love with both Juliana and Alicia. Each woman offered Grant a very different vision for his future. Alicia was eager to get married and start a family. On the other hand, Juliana was happy to take things slow, and she presented Grant with a more adventurous, fun-loving path. Grant's inability to choose between the two proved he really had no idea what he wanted for his life. Shockingly, Grant remained undecided until the day of the final rose ceremony, revealing how little confidence he had in his own decision. They were under fire from their fellow contestants. Despite Juliana and Grant's post-engagement bliss, Alicia didn't hold back her feelings about how Grant had handled their relationship. During The Bachelor after the final rose special, Alicia blasted Grant for leading her on and allowing her to think she was guaranteed an engagement. She implied that Juliana should have reservations about being in a relationship with Grant after he'd so easily played both women. Things continued to worsen for the newly engaged couple. Juliana found herself in feuds with many of her former castmates, who all appeared to rally behind Alicia. Grant and Juliana often addressed the drama online, leading many to accuse them of being sore losers. After the initial firestorm blew over, Grant and Juliana scaled back their online presence, but the damage was already done. The post-season drama likely had a detrimental effect on Grant and Juliana's relationship. The feuds brought out a different side to them that viewers hadn't seen on The Bachelor. Endless scrutiny about their actions and their relationship compounded the existing pressure on Grant and Juliana, and they were forced to defend themselves while still getting to know each other. What should have been an amazing time in their lives was full of negativity, and those conditions would be hard on any relationship. As Grant and Juliana navigated the furor surrounding their engagement, they were also tasked with adapting their own lives to their new romance. Grant announced his plans to move from Houston to Juliana's hometown of Boston. But like their wedding plans, the lack of timeline and details surrounding Grant's move suggested the idea would never come to fruition. Although Grant and Juliana continued to visit each other and go on vacations, fans noticed that their appearances together became less frequent, hinting that trouble was brewing. Distance is a common obstacle for the Bachelor couples, and it has the potential to derail an otherwise perfect relationship. Uprooting one's life is a huge sacrifice, which is doubly hard when a relationship is still in its early stages. Grant and Juliana emphasized that they were taking their time getting to know each other and they were likely in no rush for Grant to relocate. At the same time, the distance probably limited their quality time together. It makes sense that without spending every day together like they had while filming, Grant and Juliana may have grown apart. Grant and Juliana were both guarded. The personality traits that brought Grant and Juliana together may have been the final nail in the coffin for their relationship. They both bonded over traumatic experiences in their families and a prevailing sense of loneliness. This gave Grant and Juliana a strong connection, but it also may have built a fragile foundation for their relationship. While Licia was fully committed to Grant and straightforward about her desire to have children immediately, Juliana provided Grant with a lot more leeway. She was open about her hesitation and doubts, making her seem like a safer choice. Grant and Juliana both appeared to be wary of commitment. It was promising that they were on the same page, but with them both being so guarded, it's easy to see how their relationship fell apart so quickly. Grant and Juliana seemed to be blissfully in love, but it wasn't meant to last. Like many couples from The Bachelor, the odds were stacked against them. The distance and drama likely proved too much to overcome, and Grant and Juliana were bound for heartbreak before turned bittersweet. Grant Ellis and Juliana Pasquarosa were supposed to be the fairy tale ending Bachelor Nation had been starving for. From the moment Juliana stepped out of the limo, draped in a wine-red gown that shimmered under the moonlight, fans knew she'd be a frontrunner. And Grant? He was the guy next door, polished by heartbreak, handed a second chance at love after being America's favorite underdog from the previous season of The Bachelorette. When he knelt down during that scenic proposal in Tuscany, tears in his eyes, a trembling hand clutching a glittering Neil Lane ring, Juliana said yes, and millions swooned. The finale trended worldwide. "They're so different, it works," the headline screamed. But 7 months later, everything had crumbled. Instagram posts vanished, a mutual unfollow, and then, without a caption or warning, a joint statement. "We have decided to end our engagement and go our separate ways. We appreciate your support and ask for privacy during this time." Except, Bachelor Nation doesn't do privacy. The blame game begins. Theories exploded. Podcasts dissected every eyebrow twitch from the After the Final Rose special. Reddit sleuths uncovered old tweets from Juliana's college years. TikTok was flooded with lip-synced "I knew it" videos. But the truth, as it always does, was messier than a hashtag. A friend of Juliana's anonymously shared. She felt like a prop in his redemption arc. He was more in love with the image of love than with her. Meanwhile, a source close to Grant told Us Weekly, Grant was blindsided. He thought everything was fine. Juliana started pulling away right when the cameras were gone. Who was telling the truth? Maybe both. Life after the final rose. Away from Tuscany's rose-filled hills and helicopter dates, reality hit. Grant, back in LA, dove into his new influencer life, sponsored posts, brand partnerships, and his rising podcast heartbeats with Ellis. He was interviewing everyone from Bachelorette alums to life coaches. He even booked a Netflix docuseries. Juliana, meanwhile, moved to New York City to relaunch her sustainable clothing label. She started designing again, but the pressure of being the Bachelor's girl loomed large. "People expected me to post #couplegoals 24/7, she confessed during a rare appearance on Off the Vine. "But I wanted to be more than someone's plus one." The cracks deepened. He missed her product launches. She skipped his birthday party. The romance, once electric, fizzled under the weight of real-life logistics and very different dreams. The secret that changed everything. What fans didn't know, what never made it into their official breakup statement, was that Juliana had discovered something she wasn't supposed to. A DM. From Licia Gare. Yes, that Licia. The fan-favorite runner-up who had cried in Grant's arms as he said, "I can't give you the forever you deserve." According to sources close to Juliana, the message wasn't romantic. It was reflective, maybe even therapeutic. But it was the timing that shook Juliana. The message was dated 3 weeks after the finale aired, when Grant was supposed to be happily engaged. Closure, Grant would later defend. That's all it was. Juliana wasn't convinced. Why lie about it, then? She reportedly asked during one of their final fights. You should have told me. Hiding it made it worse. The dinner that ended it all. The final straw came during a dinner in Brooklyn, a quiet upscale restaurant where they had planned to reconnect. Juliana had been distant for weeks. Grant flew out to see her. According to an eyewitness and fellow diner, who posted the ordeal on TikTok within hours, the evening started calm. They toasted with white wine. They laughed. But halfway through the entree, the tone shifted. He slammed his hand on the table, the source claimed. She looked like she was about to cry. No audio, just lips moving, anger rising, and finally, Juliana walking out before dessert. Grant paid the check alone. The therapy sessions. In a candid solo episode of Heartbeats with Ellis, Grant finally broke his silence months later. I didn't know how to be in a normal relationship after the show, he admitted. I tried. God knows I tried. But I think I was addicted to the fantasy. I lost her in the edit of our life. He confessed he started therapy 2 weeks after the breakup. I realized I had never fully healed from the heartbreaks before Juliana. She deserved someone whole. Meanwhile, Juliana, speaking in a Vogue interview to promote her latest fashion line, didn't hold back. When someone doesn't see you beyond your role in their story, you eventually start to disappear. She had stopped wearing her ring long before the public noticed. The Licia factor revisited. Despite Grant's insistence that his post-show message to Licia meant nothing, rumors kept swirling. Bachelor Nation couldn't resist. Some accused him of breadcrumbing Licia. Others claimed Licia had never been over him. Fans dissected her cryptic Instagram captions. Closure isn't always clean. You can love someone and still know they weren't for you. Let them keep the fantasy. When Licia finally broke her silence during a podcast appearance, she clarified. He messaged me, yes, but it wasn't flirty. He was confused, and honestly, I think he needed a therapist, not me. Still, she stopped short of defending him. Juliana deserved better. Mutual regrets, different paths. For a while, the narrative was simple. Juliana was the wronged woman, Grant the immature dreamer. But life, again, is never black and white. By the end of the year, Grant and Juliana reportedly met one last time. Not to rekindle, just to say goodbye without the noise. I apologized, Grant told Men's Health. I told her she was never just a character in my love story. She was the plot twist that taught me how to feel again. Juliana later posted a photo of a sunrise with the caption, "We end things for peace, not revenge. New beginnings." Today, Juliana is dating an artist from Brooklyn. Low-key, private, unbothered. She doesn't do Bachelor podcasts anymore. Her clothing line just had its first NYFW showing. When asked about Grant, she only says, "We tried. That's more than most people can say." Grant is rumored to be in early talks for Dancing with the Stars and co-hosting a mental health-focused dating show. He still ends each Heartbeats episode with the same line. Choose love, but start with yourself. What really went wrong? The truth is everything and nothing. Grant and Juliana didn't cheat, betray, or implode. They just couldn't make real life fit the fantasy. The rose-tinted lens of the Bachelor world gave them a pedestal too high, too polished. What really went wrong was the pressure to be perfect, the failure to slow down, the expectation that a TV proposal would anchor a lifetime of complex, evolving love. But maybe what went right was that they tried. And maybe, just maybe, they helped each other grow in ways cameras could never capture. In the end, the fairy tale didn't end in a wedding, but it gave the world a real love story, with real lessons, real heartbreak, and real healing. And that, in its own messy way, was beautiful.